Cassis, very good morning. Very good morning. So what we learned yesterday, that ethics is kind of philosophical science. Ethics is kind of philosophical science that guide the human to behave. The behavior is judged on the basis of ethical principle, whether it is stealing. Sir, can you repeat conscience? Subham, we have a separate topic on role of conscience, but for better understanding or for this time, you can correlate it with your soul. Conscience is nothing but our pure soul that is inherited under us. It guides us to act in a good manner. It says that person shall do whatever thing which is ethically correct or ethically good. Now we will discuss we will discuss conscience in detail in a separate topic. Actually, UPSC has earlier asked a question. It was a role of conscience and how we can heard the voice of conscience. So now this class is on dimension or branches of ethics. First of all, let me clear that dimension or branches deals with ethical principles, ethical theories. It explains that what course of action, what kind of behavior shall be said to be correct if we say that trust or trustworthiness or truthfulness is kind of ethical behavior. In that case, why it is good, why one should follow trustworthiness in his life. So dimension explains the principle, their basis and their other dimensions or other related things. Now, overall, there are 4 dimensions. Do you think I should dictate some points for your class notes, or it is okay with PowerPoint presentation? I decided earlier that after completion of 1 or 2 topic, I will start dictating, and thereafter you can make your class note. Astha, so I will dictate it later, but what we need to do is to inculcate the idea. If basic idea or core concept is clear like water, dictation will be better. Okay. I will dictate it later, but first of all, we need to understand the concept, the theory, the dimension of ethics. Look, here as I presented this kind of picture or shape, I advised you to try to make such diagram in your answer sheet as well. It attracts the attention of your examiner. So we must try to use this kind of diagram, this kind of chart in our answer. So we will discuss it, how to approach mains answer later, and in that segment I will suggest you different kind of ways and manner that will be helpful in your examination, in your mains examination. So first of all, let us study the topic, what is dimension. Overall, dimension of ethics can be classified into 4 broad categories. The first one is descriptive ethics. Descriptive, as you know, is a description or explanation of ethical behavior or ethical act. Suppose one says that in ancient period, Lord Rama opted to went to exile to fulfill promise made by his father. So descriptive ethics just describe the ethical act of a particular time of a particular person in reference of their circumstances. So it just kind of storytelling, it is just kind of history writing. So it describes that. We will discuss later how Kohlen has attempted to describe different thing on it. Second one is normative. Let us correlate it with a simple term, or we can say the original word norm. What does it mean? Norm. Norm is actually an ideal kind of behavior. Normative ethics suggest us how one ought to behave. It provide ethical principles, ethical set that has to be followed by an individual to live a amicable life, to live in a well settled society. So normative ethics not describe as descriptive ethics the ethical way or ethical act of a person. Rather, it suggests some ethical principle that should be followed during action, during human action. Again, third one is meta ethics. Meta ethics is quite different. It is again theoretical. It is philosophical kind of dimension that try to explain the ethical principle. For example, we are discussing about truth. So what is truth? One say that India has become a country where no man is forced to live in deprivation, in that condition where he is not able to get any kind of facilities. India has rid out from that conditions. No one is forced to live or forced to sleep with starvation. That kind of condition has almost over, and we are now at the upper level, at the higher level. We are providing health, education, and other facilities to our citizen. So some people, they didn't have experience during whole life, can say that yes, India has overcome that kind of scarcity. But if you ask the same question with a rickshaw puller, to a person who is beggar, then what will be his truth? His truth will actually different from that person who is living a lavish life. So truth can be explained in different manner. Trust, for example, trust has multiple phases. If a person, for example, if a person to advance his family, try to appoint his relative in a organization, in that case he is called trustworthy, faithful for his family. But again, on other hand, if we apply this principle, this kind of action along with organization, then what would we observe? That his act is against the organizational rule and regulation. So we can't say he is trustworthy, rather he is called cheater. So that meta-ethics explains various dimension, various course of action, ethical principles in different context, different situation. This is not very vital for us. We just need to make it clear for explanation type question. Otherwise, it is not very worthy for us. Next thing is applied ethics. Applied means application. Application of ethical principle in real world. For example, we says that a person should be devoted or dedicated for his business, for his profession. For instance, we will discuss it later with picture, but here I explain you with an example that a doctor, even at night 12, you, if called a doctor to provide assistance, provide relief for a ill person. In that case, despite that time or despite having night, he provide you assistance, he provide you relief. It is the dedication, the devotion of that person toward his profession. So applied ethics provide us insight about ethical principle on workplace, on different aspect of life. Now, make it more clear. First of all, as I said, descriptive ethics. So this is the first branch of ethics. When we say descriptive ethics, then it says that how people behave in a particular period of time in a situation. Suppose Lord Rama eaten that is called the jungan, or we can say bear or berry. So Lord Rama eaten this kind of bear from Sabri. What he did, he actually admired her devotion, her care, her love to his deity. So Rama gave respect with this kind of act, this kind of behave. Descriptive ethics says the same thing, that person can do such thing or did such thing irrespective of caste, creed, gender or anything. You very well know that Sabri was very poor and might be she belonged to scheduled tribe caste, scheduled tribe clan. But despite being this group, Rama accepted their love, their care, their devotion. So this kind of action is the subject of your descriptive ethics. Similarly, Ramayana. So we can actually, I copied this picture from Google. It is quite good and relevant for our understanding. Ramayana, what Ramayana teaches us? It teaches us that difficulties are very general in the life of people. Even God, despite being God, Rama has witnessed different kind of difficulties. It let you make more empowered, more strong, physically and mentally both. So descriptive ethics explains or dictate or provide you insight about ethical norm, ethical action that were happened during past, happened during any time period of history. A very popular name, that is Lawrence Kohlberg. Lawrence Kohlberg initiated this approach during 1950 for the purpose of descriptive ethics. He took ethical dilemma, hypothetical dilemma, and presented before 75 students, and he concluded that different people have different opinion and they act differently. They follow different kind of ethical principles during their life to solve ethical dilemma. In this way, our descriptive ethics, study of descriptive ethics initiated. So it is quite easy to understand. Is it clear or clear? We will write it later. First, look, writing or understanding, both are quite different. UPSC requires a mature brain. UPSC doesn't want to have a writing expert or person who have very good writing skill. He actually seeks a person who have better understanding about their surroundings, about their fellows, about their environment. So always try to explain or understand the basic concept. Writing is associated part, no doubt, but it is helpful in memorizing the fact. Rather, it rather your understanding play the crucial or substantial role in this examination. So always focus upon concept, upon the thing you are reading, and must correlate it with other thing. Now, normative ethics, it is quite vital. We have to give some time upon this topic, as it is multidimensional. Different kind of concept will arrive shortly. So and you, for case studies, to answering any case study, you have to keep in mind this normative ethics particularly. Without normative ethics, our case study shall not be complete. So we need to very understand it very clearly. Simply, normative ethics is a kind of ideals, kind of benchmark that is provided by different scholar, and they said that man should behave like that manner to fulfill their own need, to fulfill the need of society and others. So normative ethics, the crux of this dimension of ethics, is just an ideal and a benchmark that we have to approach. We have to go in that direction. So it provides just a standard or criteria of rightness and wrongness. One can examine their course of action on the basis of that kind of norm. If suppose, for example, suppose government is providing huge money for social development schemes and programs. For example, government is running Manrega, running Ujjwala scheme. The money for that scheme comes from the taxes that is paid by the citizen of India. So is it right to provide such kind of relief or such kind of affirmative action to that people who are not contributing in the development of country. One would say that it is against the practice or against the goodwill of taxpayer, as government took or levied tax from taxpayer so that government should provide better services to that taxpayer only, because he paid for that, government paid for that services. We need better service for government. But one will say that no, government is not merely for those who are paying taxes. Rather, it is duty of government to look after, to take care of the person who is deprived or who is unable to fulfill their need. So both kind of ethical or both kind of argument can be passed for this kind of scheme. So what would be the judgment? How can we say that government has did or doing a right course of action? This can be judged upon the standard provided by this normative ethics. Is it clear or have doubt? If anyone have doubt, you can ask, you can write your queries now. So again, normative ethics is a comprehensive set, comprehensive dimension. It includes three different branches. First of all, grasp the idea, thereafter I will dictate. It is my duty to enhance your understanding, to make you more mature of this subject. It is actually divided into three broad categories. First of all, virtue. Virtue means trait or excellence of an individual feature. It described that the trait of man shall be blah blah blah. It says that suppose justice, courage, competence, dedication shall be the best practice, shall be the ethics one must follow, one must adhere or inculcate that kind of spirit in their life, in their work. Second is teleological. Teleo means result. So it says that this branch of ethics says that the end is will, then the act or work will also called will or good. Suppose for example, if one is making happy to a poor person by distributing money to them, so what is the result? It is we can say he acted very well, he did good for society, for beggars, but it avoided the way that he earned the money. Suppose the person who is indulged or who is distributing the money occupied or having money from stealing. He steal or rob a bank and then distribute the cash among poor. In that case, we can't justify the course of action of that person. So teleological approach came to be known after virtue ethics. It was earlier approach, virtue ethics, and it was given by ancient thinker including Plato, Aristotle, and even our Mahabharata, Ramayana suggest about some virtue that should be inculcated, that should be accepted by individual in their action. Later, teleological approach came. James Mill, Jeremy Bentham are the main protagonist of this teleological approach. Teleological approach was again opposed by deontological theorist. Deontology, the last, that is also very significant. Deontological approach of this normative ethics says that the course of action shall be shall is shall be judged on the basis of ethical principle or outcome. If the course of action is good, is for well-being, is for welfare of all, then whatever outcome, whatever consequent is not matter, doesn't matter whatever consequent occur. Suppose a student who is reading or studying all day and night, is doing his task. Ultimately, in a different case, you can assume that he didn't get success in UPSC examination. Then can we say that he did a wrong task, or he did a bad kind of ethical, he accepted bad kind of ethical norms? So if course of action is good, is for welfare of society, in that case it can be said to be ethical. So how can we determine that course of action is good or bad? Here is a question. All course of action or all action cannot be said it is good. Immanuel Kant, we will discuss it later. Even UPSC also asked that. Propounded a concept that is called categorical imperative. Categorical imperative. It is a fixed term. We need not to change this word. This is keyword. Categorical imperative. Must remember this quote. Actually, we should memorize this word to use in our examination. Categorical imperative says that the action, the course of action you want to do to others, and you accept that kind of behavior from others, that shall be said as ethical. That shall be, if you want to give someone relief or respect or some kind of honor if you pass prelims examination, in that case this kind of behavior can be universal. But if you definitely no want to steal your money while you are traveling in metro train, so this kind of behavior cannot be said as ethical, universal ethical principle. So Kant said that you have to follow that kind of behavior. You assume other person do same things or same course of action. Now, I detailed this topic, that is virtue ethics. So virtue, as I said, virtue is trait, a feature, or goodwill of a person. It is actually set of moral principle that one should adhere, that one should adopt. It is virtue simply means excellence of character. What is character? It is very crucial in ethics to have better understanding for every concept. So when I say or said character, it means a settled behavior of a person. Character means their habitual act, habitual actions. Suppose a person is very honest, it means he has good character. If a person often found in lying, then we can't say he is trustworthy. He is a liar. His character is corrupt. He is actually not a good person. So character is permanent behavior or set behavior of a person. It is a result of different things. We will actually deal with this concept later. So virtue ethics focus on character building. As I said, Socrates, Pluto, and many other ancient thinkers gave impetus or emphasizes this concept. Even Buddha, Mahavir, Jaina. Socrates, do you know anything about Socrates? He was a Greek philosopher, and he sentenced for death for telling or for asking question. He taught that time of people to ask question about anything. If you are seeing this is day, then why it is called day? Why it is not called night? So this kind of asking question can make person more rational, can enhance their knowledge, their wisdom. So this kind of thought that is spreaded by Socrates was later felt challenge against the state, against the group of merchant, so that he compelled him to drink poison. And he admitted that what I opted, it is the way that can I prove, that can with that I can prove my ideas, my philosophy among my citizens. So Socrates said that right knowledge leads to right action. If we have a better understanding about situation, better understanding about circumstances. Suppose, for example, I'm presenting this idea with a case or with an incident. Suppose you are in a market and a person, or suppose a child of 10-year age come and snatch your purse or snatch your money. In that case, if we see on one point of view, then it is act of theft. But on other point of view, there must be some necessity, some requirement that forced him to do that kind of behavior. So every thing is depend upon knowledge. If a person indulged in criminal activity, or suppose a person killed a person to save his life, it is very easy example. So saving his life is actually the basic right of individual, and he has to right to protect oneself. So knowledge actually decides the course of action. We will memorize what Socrates made in his statement. Now again, after Socrates, discipline student was Plato. Plato was the one who started an education institute. Do you know the name of Plato Education Institute? It is quite popular. Everywhere you can see, you can find the name what Plato used for their education institute. It was named Academy. The school of Plato named Academy. And Aristotle was one of his favorite student, who always gave opposed argument. He always opposed what Plato said. Even Plato said that philosopher should rule the world as he hold wisdom. Arastu provided different kind of opinion to in argument of Plato. So it is considered, it is held that Aristotle was the critic of Plato, his own teacher. So this kind of practice, you can imagine how this kind of support or oppose was admired by that time. Even today, we are not accepting opposition of our own argument. So, opposition or oppose or negative argument or counter argument should also be welcomed, and it actually enhance our rationality. What Pluto said, that person should have some kind of virtue. He suggested that wisdom, fortitude or valor, temperance, and different, and another is justice, is the core value. And he later it was known as cardinal. It is known as cardinal value. Look, actually, what Pluto tried to present. Actually, Pluto was supporter of monarchy, and he divided people on the basis of their traits, on the basis of their feature or their virtue. He said that the person who have courage should be courage should be employed in military service. Those who have courage, valor, or fortitude should be employed in military service to protect the wealth of nation and provide security and safety. Again, he said that those who have temperance matlab, the temperance, we can define it sahanशीलता, dhairya. So those who have temperance, that can be engaged into the activity of business or trade. As we know that traders need some patience, need that kind of patience to fulfill the requirement of their customer. And lastly, he said that those who have actually this require fortitude, required physical fitness, physical power. But he said that those who have wisdom, knowledge, understanding about circumstances, about surrounding, shall rule the world, and this wisdom or prudence shall be the trait of ruler. Or on the basis of this wisdom, he wrote his first book. What is the name of Plato's first book? No idea. Actually, his first book was a book named Republic. And in Republic, it is very popular, as you know. Republic even used in our preamble also. So the Republic term was made by Plato. Later, he said that justice, a fair or equal treatment to others, to every people, shall be the common virtue, whether it is a military person or army man, whether it is king, or even whether it is trader. All have to hold, all have to adhere the principle of justice. It means all have to provide equal treatment to all, no discrimination, no favoritism can be prevail in society any manner. But unfortunately, only this part of Plato theory is for us. After that, Pluto said that Pluto wrote another book that is named as Statesman, when actually he failed to acknowledge the person who have that kind of wisdom, that kind of knowledge. Then he came down and said that not a single person can have sufficient wisdom to rule, to manage the affairs of country. Rather, group of individual that have same wisdom, we can say the group wisdom is far better than a wisdom of an individual. So later he again refused the idea of philosopher king. Again, when he felt that that kind of person is not in the real world, so ultimately he finally wrote his last book, that is named, what is the last book of Plato? Laws. 3 book was wrote by Plato, or all are in dialogue style. Plato was answering the question asked by Socrates. Socrates has asked a question in his book, and his 3 books are Republic, Statesman, and Laws. Ultimately, he accepted that law is actually made by collective wisdom, collective knowledge of individuals, so that it must be better than, it shall be better than the wisdom of an individual. So law is the king of king. That kind of practice is later prevailed in different world. Now he propounded idea of philosopher king, and philosopher king have great wisdom, have sound knowledge about their circumstances, about economy, polity, geography, everything. And on the basis of their wisdom, he served his nation very well. Similarly, those who have prudence, or those who have fortitude or valor, can be engaged in military service, and those who have this kind of temperance, that can show, like he's showing product to different consumer. So merchant or trader requires temperance to seek attention for their customer, for their consumer. This was said by Plato. Now come to his discipline, that is Aristotle. Aristotle didn't give the set of virtue like Plato. Rather, he suggested that justice, as Plato admitted justice as a supreme virtue. Justice shall be prevailed, justice must be maintained. He again classified justice into 2 broad categories, that is distributive justice, and second one is remedial justice. Concept of distributive justice was later become a global movement. Everywhere we can find, particularly in developing country, distributive justice is the theme of the core of their policy. What is distributive justice? It is just distribution, equal distribution of wealth and opportunity among citizens. Whatever government is doing to provide equal opportunity, equal we can say facility to all citizens. Distributive justice is not merely confined to legal justice. Legal justice is actually based upon law, but distributive justice says that government should act as the wealth is distributed among citizens, the opportunity shall be available to all. It was later propagated by John Rawls. We will read John Rawls' concept in upcoming classes. John Rawls made this concept a global movement, but Aristotle, one who acknowledged this kind of justice very first. And remedial justice is to fair transaction, or we can say those are very poor or affirmative action government should. Priyanshi, you can ask question, whatever queries. So in this way, Aristotle has highlighted different kind of justice in their theory. Again, he propounded middle path or golden mean. Fair and equal are same thing. Fair equal means actually there is a basic difference between fair and equal. There is a minute difference in English. Some Priyanshi asked that is fair and equal are the same, or either it is or whether they are different. Is there any difference, or it is same? Fair and equal. There is difference. When we say, suppose I took two pen, and when we say these are equal, so your answer must be unequal, as the color of pen, design of pen are different. So the copy of this pen can be called as equal. But what is fair? Fair actually since the thing that if one is able or hold that kind of, in particular ethical sense, I am explaining it, particular ethical sense. If we says that in a university, a peon is paid about 10,000 rupees for their job. In contrast to that, a lecturer get about 1 lakh rupees. I'm explaining it. So what I am saying, try to understand it. So in university, a lecturer is paid about 1 lakh rupees. Even this kind of differences found everywhere in even government organization. So despite having differences, we even not made a statement that government is doing unfairly. It means something that makes this kind of discrimination fair. So a person is paid only with that amount that is fair for that. If a person have sound knowledge of their subject, if he can inculcate idea among a student, then he do the work of lecture and he will paid more. So that kind of course of action can be said as fair. So fair actually depends upon the ability, depends upon the criteria of particular situation, particular product. If we are paying suppose Uber cab driver 200 rupees, then we says that it is fair price for that services. But we doesn't paying 200 rupees. We do not paying 200 rupees for auto driver or toto driver, and we always makes argument why you are demanding for that money. So fair is quite different. It is just for a criteria, just for services. If it require, then it can be re-managed or rechecked. Affirmative action. Affirmative action. Have you any idea about affirmative action, Priyanshi, or it need to be more clear? Affirmative action, have you heard it before? In which part you have heard about affirmative action? Politics. Where it was used in our constitution? STSC reservation. Yes, yes. Actually, our right to equality from Article 14 to 18, particularly in Article 15 and 16, we will find some glance of this affirmative action. How a state providing services to downtrodden, services to women, to children on this for this affirmative action. Now come to this topic, that is middle path golden mean. What does it mean? Golden mean or middle path. It sees that extremes must be avoided. Suppose one say we have to read day and night without taking even a rest for a while for becoming an IAS officer. Is it right to act like that manner, or we need some kind of rest? So rest is obviously the part of our preparation. So extreme, like suppose you are driving a car or bike. In that case, the speedometer have top speed about 200 kilometer. So it is avoided everywhere, and it is suggested that you must maintain a average speed about 80 to 100 on highway. So similarly, in our life, it is said that by even Aristotle that middle path should be followed by individual, neither poor nor rich. Suppose if we take here example of a state where no poor is live. In that case, what will be the consequence if in absence of poor or that kind of classes? It might be possible that rich person found to have a lavish life and they become lazy for anything. They need not to work manual work, like in a foreign country or particularly in a Western European country. There is a higher payment for whom? For blue collar job. What is blue collar job? Blue collar job is manual work, like cleaning of toilet, cleaning of garden. This kind of work is highly paid in some countries, as there are no person. So that was also rejected by Aristotle, that this kind of richness can lead to laziness of society. And even suppose if a country having most of the people poor or low income, in that case what would be outcome? Country actually will not receive sufficient taxes, will not gain any kind of levies or any kind of money to serve people or manage people's affair better. In that case, they again collapse. So the ideal country must have limited number of rich person as well as number of poor person. If suppose poor are in greater or majority, in that case, if a state will fail to address their requirement or meet their necessity, in that case, it might be possible that poor feel that a state is incapable to address our issue, and we need to revolt against this failed state. Aristotle highlighted this point in there. He wrote the book, Aristotle's book. Even he also started a school. He belongs to a country. Do you know the country, the native place of Aristotle? Recently, the name of his mother country has changed. Anyone know about the native place of Arastu? I'm giving you hint. No, it is a neighboring country of Greek. No idea, no issue. It is North Macedonia. Macedonia. Just no, it is not Italy. It is Macedonia. Macedonia is located just south to Greek. So I suggest you to go and search Macedonia on world map. So that area is in news because of Ukraine-Russia war. So again, in this way, we can conclude the idea of Aristotle. Now, Benjamin Franklin, post of vice president in USA. He said that if a person want to be a universal man, it means universally accepted, a good person, then he should incorporate about 13 different kind of virtue. He suggested that silence. So maintain silence, but speak only when then it require. So speaking is not, as per him, a good trait of individual. But what we have witnessed since past few years, that we have different kind of ministers, different kind of leaders. Those are making different kind of voices order. So he suggested that I will actually dictate all such things, so need not to worry about that. I will dictate all things in detail. Even sincerity, think innocently. Justice, simply do not do wrong. Industry, need not to waste your times. Use your time in creative or that kind of activity. Tranquility, do not disturb at tranquility. He describes that not disturb as trifles. It means a person must not disturbed with common or generalized events. Suppose you are walking on a road and suddenly you collapse with or countered with a person at your shoulder. So it doesn't change your mind. It shouldn't change your mind. Actually, this is a normal behavior and you need to maintain your peace. You need to maintain your tranquility in your life. Chastity. Chastity means maintain purity, whether it is physical or mental. Fragility, waste nothing. Moderation, he also advocated the same thing that Aristotle made. Resolution, try to resolve conflicts. Temperance, cleanliness, and humility. So this kind of different virtue have been propounded by different thinkers. We have not a complete set of virtue in virtue ethics, but what we found that all have made that kind of all highlighted that kind of virtue that made a person better, that lead us in a better life. We will actually write this letter. Don't actually indulge in writing. Now come to some Indians thinker, Indians philosopher, Indian preachers who made their contribution in virtue ethics. First of all, we have Mahatma Buddha or Gautam Buddha. Buddha said that wisdom, kindness, patience, generosity, and compassion should be adhered, should be adopted adopted by people to live a ethical life. He made that wisdom means knowledge, kindness, pity, pity toward poor person, pity toward deprived person, पैसेंस, पैसेंस मीन्स धैर्य, जहां पे समझ में ना आए, जेनरोसिटी, जेनरोसिटी मीन्स दयालुता, करुणा, आदर, वी कैन कोरिलेट इट विथ compassion. Compassion is quite different. We will discuss compassion in detail. There are actually different kind of behavior. Someone is called empathy, some is called empathy, some is called one is called sympathy, and the next level of sympathy and empathy is known as compassion. In Hindi we can understand it as karuna, but it is not karuna. Actually, when we say sympathy, it means when we see a person, a poor person, and we try to help peace, this kind of act can be called as sympathy. If we feel the plight, if we feel the plight means dukh, if we feel plight, sorrow, grievances of that particular person, and help him by knowing his circumstances, then it is called compassion. So compassion is quite different. It involves understanding of knowledge and a strive toward upliftment of that aggrieved person. So it is quite deep concept. Similarly, Mahavir Jain again propounded that 5 virtues must be adhered by Jainis, that is Satya, truthfulness, Ahimsa, non-violence, Austeya, non-stealing, Aparigraha, non-possessions of wealth, Brahmacharya, chastity. Again, after Mahavira, Chanakya took charge to provide us some kind of virtue. Actually, Chanakya was prime minister of Chandragupta Maurya. You will know about the fact. Chanakya wrote a book. What is the name of book? Artha Shastra. Arthashastra is not a book on economic affairs. Rather, it is book on administrative and political affairs. He highlighted that king must be wise, tolerant, and full of compassion. He must treat his citizen as his own child. He quoted, actually need not to quote what I am going to say in your examination. He said that praja hite hitang ragyah prajanang cha hite hitang natyam hita ragya. इसका मतलब ये था, he said that the interest or the benefit of king lies to welfare, lies to upliftment of its citizens. Nowhere else the interest or the goodwill or that kind of thing of king found anywhere else. So he suggested that king must do or treat his citizen like his own child. So this was the principle given by Chanakya. Again, if we evaluate this ethical dimension, then we found that it has some merit and demerit both. Men would be, or that can enhance the acceptability of a person, that can enhance the person knowledge, the person wisdom. So virtue ethics merely provides that set that must be or that should be adhered. But the main issue is that there is not a complete set of virtue. All have propounded different kind of theories. So in particular sense, if one asks you to examine virtue ethics in context of life of or actions of civil services, in that case you have to evaluate with negative point or limitations of this branch of ethics. Otherwise we need not to provide the limitation of this in our examination. It is it fails to provide a complete list of virtue. Every philosopher have different views, different opinion, and they have different set of virtue. It avoided the role of means, and the result of that action. Suppose if person have sound knowledge, suppose he is an engineer, then we can say that he is a virtuous person as he has wisdom, he has a good knowledge of their subject. But later it was revealed that he was indulged in spreading terrorism, spreading this kind of anti-national activity. Then what we can say, that is it a virtuous person or it is an evil for society? Obviously it can be evil. So virtue ethics actually neglected the means, the result of an action. So it can't be considered as a comprehensive or complete theory. But even this kind of limitation that it has, nevertheless the principle, the theory propounded by different scholar can guide us to act in a ethical direction. So that can be accepted by during the course of action. We have to consider another dimension of this ethics. Is it clear? So when it was failed to meet to satisfy the requirement of society, another school, another dimension of ethics came. It is now teleological ethics. It was mainly during 16th, 17th and 18th century. It came into light and prevailed during 16th, 17th and 18th century. It was the period of enlightenment. It was the period of Renaissance in Europe, and scientific experiment and scientific development was started in industrial revolution. It was industrial revolution that took place in European countries. At the time, different scholar, different philosopher took charge to develop. Under simply teleos means end and logos means science. So it or one's action on the ground of result, on the ground of outcome, consequences. Suppose government running Manrega scheme. So what is the outcome of Manrega? Manrega has, if we consider, so it provide job to jobless worker. It enhanced the rural income, or we can say the income of rural people. It actually supported to steer rural economy also, as it provided sufficient money by giving pay of that worker. But it has some limitations. Suppose, for example, it incurred sufficient amount from public exchequer, and that money comes from where? It is the money of taxpayer who is doing their duty to seek better services from government. Government can do work for better infrastructure, better road, better transportation. So what we can see, what is the outcome of Manrega? It is mixed. Some is good for some deprived people, and some are against the taxpayer. So all kind of action, all course of action, whether it is government policy, whether it is work of a policeman, suppose police, in case of riot, of uh, uh, in case of confrontation, or police if use stick, or we can say lathi charge, initiate lathi charge. So that kind of action can also have different consequences. One who is beaten, they can ask, they can say that police has doing wrong action. The consequence of that is very bad. But another people will say that it is good for society, as it or this kind of movement has disturbed our social life, our transaction, our daily routines. So what police has did actually have different kind of consequences. Now, so if the action have more benefit and less harmful impact, then we can say that the action is correct, the action is right. It is one way to judge, to evaluate the action of individual. But here, different kind of teleological concept was given. These are the different branches of ethics, different branches of thought that explains teleological concept on their own ways. First is hedonism. We need to memorize this word, actually the headings of this particular concept, as we will use this concept as a passing reference while attempting case study. If you are writing a case study, and in that case study some kind of a dilemma is mentioned, then you can put the idea of hedonism. And hedonism says that, we will discuss it in detail: ethical egoism, utilitarianism, and altruism. These are the 5 main branches of teleological ethics. The most significant is utilitarian approach. So now we cover this topic. Hedonism. Literal meaning of hedonism in Hindi, sukhvad. Sukhvad. It means all the action, course of action leads to happiness of individual can be said as hedonism. In our Indian philosophical development, same kind of thought was propounded by Charvak. Have you heard Charvak concept? What he said? Charvak said, यावत जीवम घृत्वा पिबम, मतलब जब तक जिंदा रहेंगे घी पिएंगे, और इवन ऋण लेकर अगर घी पीना पड़ा तो वो भी करेंगे. तो उसको इससे मतलब नहीं था कि कैसे वी हैव टू लीड आवर लाइफ, वी शुड मैनेज आवर हैप्पीनेस, whether it is by wrongdoing or by right course of action. So this kind of hedonism suggests that any kind of action that makes person happy, that makes person satisfied, can be said as ethical, can be said to be ethical. If a thief their course of action can be said to be ethical. But later it was criticized, and this hedonism has divided into different branches. Hedonism, the first branch of hedonism, called psychological hedonism, means it says that means seeks pleasure. Actually, we need to understand two things very clearly. It is pleasure and other is happiness. Is it similar or different? Some kind of difference is obviously. So first of all, we need to understand happiness and pleasure with interesting. Look, the name of this scooty is pleasure. So pleasure actually kind of that material thing that lead to satisfy for the short or limited period of time of individual. If we have something particularly like mobile phones, house, watches, or etc., like materialistic thing, then we can say that no, both are different. I put here some example. Abhay, happiness is quite different. Happiness need not to have that kind of materialistic thing. Suppose take an example here, a naga sannyasi. What he has, not even a house, but he is very satisfied, he is happy. We can again put here our great president, Dr. APJ Kalam. What he has on the name of wealth? Nothing. Only 2 pieces of suit that he wear during his presidential regime. Even having that kind of limited materialistic thing, he was very happy to satisfy our nations for upliftment of our society. So happiness comes from this kind of scooty is not correct, is not obvious. The root of happiness is quite different. These child looks very happy. They feel we can say secure, safe, and healthy as they are protected by society. They need not to have that kind of pleasure, that kind of bullet, that kind of other things. So happiness actually, we can say satisfaction is satisfaction. If a person achieves something in their life, then it satisfies for that achievement. The achievement made him satisfied. For example, if you got a title or if you pass an examination with very good marks, then it stay with you for a longer period of time, and you always try to enhance your performance in upcoming examination. If you are, it is very good for civil services student that even in summer, when it's called when temperature goes up to 45 degree, we have seen that students are preparing for their examination. So they are satisfied for their works, they are happy for their works. Even it is the reason World Happiness Index is given by international institution, not World Pleasure Index is presented before us. So happiness lies in our hearts, and it is the feeling of satisfaction. If one satisfied with your job, with your performance, with your surroundings, then he can leave, he can do the same thing. Here I quote example from 3 Idiots. What Three Idiot movie. Have you seen that? Obviously, Three Idiot actually says that a person who were practical life, he or that kind of person can not get success in that particular field. But if a person who is satisfied with their works, with their course of action, like Sachin Tendulkar, he is very much so actually presented the idea of man, idea of economic man, who is looking for just fulfill the self interest or enhance their own profitability. It means pleasure kind of thing. Later, ethical egoism came and it again divided into two parts. It is egoistic. It means to fulfill individual aspiration, individual happiness, and another is universal. It is happiness. It is now similarly hedonism. Again, a concept was put forth. It is called ethical egoism. Ethical egoism. Egoism, again, it is like hedonism, and we can say it is enhanced form, or it is the same thought in the line of hedonism. It again propound that the action or the course of action can be said ethical if it satisfy the doers or it satisfy the person who is implementing the task. If one satisfied with their action, with their course of action, then it can be said as it has some kind of ethical egoism. It merely concerned with the doer. So hedonism, whether we can use hedonism or ethical egoism, both are almost similar. Now, both have same kind of limitation. Now come to the most vital part of this ethical dimension. It is utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is upayogitavad. A product, if it has utility for people, then it can said as good. If an act have some kind of utility among people, then it can be said good. Two thinker, Jeremy Bentham, he is Jeremy Bentham, English philosopher, and he was John Stuart Mill. You can correlate Jeremy Bentham with Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Jeremy Bentham was good friend of the then Governor General William Bentinck. He was friend of William Bentinck and often visited India. And John Stuart Mill, Jeremy Bentham discipline's name is Stuart Mill. Stuart Mill was father of John Stuart Mill, and he is the son of that Stuart Mill. So he is, we can say, junior Mill. Jeremy Bentham was the propounder, or we can say founder of utilitarian principles. He assumed that every person is guided by two core things, or we can say that men have two masters. Two masters, one is pleasure and second one is pain. He said that sovereign master guides our action. One is pleasure. Pleasure for what? Pleasure for money, pleasure for wealth, pleasure for education, pleasure for social acceptance, and pain. Pain for what? Pain for diseases, pain for sorrow, pain for enmity, pain for pities, If one doesn't have that kind of knowledge, then he also do something for that knowledge. So he suggested that this two kind of master actually steers our behavior. And human always try to do what? Human always try to do minimize pain and maximize pleasure. He indulged into business of maximizing pleasure. And he finally concluded that the action can be called ethical. Actually, we will write this point later. He said that a course of action can be said to be ethical if it leads to maximum happiness, maximum pleasure, the correct word is pleasure, to a maximum number of people. Suppose in reference of government policy, if Ujjwala scheme provide assistance to millions of rural women, then what it seeks? It seeks an utilitarian approach and approach to provide maximum number of people. So this approach, this ethical dimension gained popularity. I move here. In this concept, do you think it is quite enough to run social schemes, or it is good, or it is enough to judge one's action? No, something is lacking. What is the limitation, or what is the we can say what he left? He avoided something. Suppose you are making, or you are developing a network of metro train, and even your house came in between the line of metro, and the government force you to relocate from here. Then in that case, what would be course of action? Merely using this principle can satisfy the person who has been forced to resettle any other place. So it will actually called injustice for injustice to that person. So something was missing. And even what we learned, that neglected minority. Very good, Priyansi. Again, what he felt, that merely pleasure, means materialistic thing, is enough for satisfaction, or we need such or other things also in life. If you have a car, you have a house, you have everything, but you don't have family, but you don't have friends, in that case, can you imagine you can live a happy life? It is not obvious. We need some kind of relatives, some friends, some other people to give us satisfaction, to give us a social belongingness. So he avoided that kind of humanitarian aspect of life. J.S. Mill, this is the idea of J.S. Mill, and this is the idea of Jeremy Bentham. J.S. Mill highlighted that pleasure is not the criteria and not the basic requirement for human works. It is happiness. People seeks happiness, and it is a psychological requirement that steers one behavior. Do you know about Gandhiji? Have you seen the picture of Gandhi house? Gandhi own house, that was his father house. Even during 18th century, he had Western toilet. Even that kind of facility he had. But despite of that, he opted to to indulge in freedom movement, to involve in freedom movement. It was her his inner instinct who led Gandhi to do that kind of actions. So satisfaction or mental happiness or mental force leads one's behavior, and it was highlighted by J.S. Mill. He said that quality is merely not sufficient for individual desire, individual happiness. Rather, quality matters. So, ultimately, what he said, it is better to a dissatisfied Socrates rather than be a fool satisfied. So, if and he said that what he says, he said that Puspin is as your own, then it could be said as ethical, because the consequent is good for doers. So Puspin is actually a game. It is very popular in their country. It is Puspin, Ludo type game. Actually, it is a Ludo kind of game where Puspin, this is Puspin. Obviously, you have used this kind of pin in your disk or even in. So he said that Puspin is as equal as writing poetry. So, whether you are doing or what kind of task you are doing, performing what kind of action is not matter what the consequent. But Jeremy Bentham, JS of action, merely pleasure cannot be judged as ethical or utilitarian. I took here a cutting of paper. सन्यासी बन गया करोड़पति ज्वेलर. So if money is the motivation, only the motivation of individual, then this kind of event, this kind of news cannot published. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है. So it is quite different that utilitarian principle made by Jeremy Bentham. So J.S. Mill identified the essence of that utilitarianism. So you have to use both concept in your ethics case study. The Jeremy Bentham utilitarian approach is called act utilitarian. Act. It focus on act. While J.S. Mill's utilitarianism is called rule utilitarian. One is called act and one is called rule. He advocated for proper following of rule. सर अब कल करते हैं. चलो, we will start writing from tomorrow. Actually, after making this kind of concept, now we are in that position to write some facts. Let me know before me, is there any class of ethics was no, it was first class for you. Are you getting what I am saying, or is there any kind of difficulties you are facing? No, this question is for all of you. So if you have any doubt, you feel any doubt, even after this class, if you find something that you are not getting it clearly, then it is most welcome. I am here for your assistance, for your that kind of class. Now, class is over. We will meet tomorrow. Amber, actually, we need not to move very fast. Rather, we have to understand the idea more clearly so that you can articulate ethics. Otherwise, it will bypass. It will not very. It is not very easy to understand. So we need to correlate it with other things. uh, Boosting speed is not panacea for this class. Is there any other doubt or concern of any other student? Yes, Amber. I actually, I will actually try to give you the basic idea of ethics. So it will take time. Priyansi, sir, your mail ID. Mail ID शेयर करेंगे या नहीं करेंगे? करना है. Okay. Priyansi, you can call coaching institute and they will provide you mail ID through which we can deal whatever matter. Okay, now I am leaving, concluding the class. All of you have a nice day.